This call is being recorded.
Welcome to the artwork of CP, everyone. If I sound a little, let's just say tired, because I'm emotionally exhausted. Yeah. Let's just say it's been a long and interesting week, and yeah, let's just say I need a break, which the break is coming in December, and yeah, the break is coming in December, and even though December is coming nuts, I do get somewhat of a break in December. But today we're going, and this week actually fits in perfectly with the subject matter of how we as two women with cerebral palsy and human society deals with change, because we're all connected. And if you remember the year of hell, basically 2020, we're all interdependent on each other. And the moment I say that, someone will shout from the rooftops, yes, we are. But at the same time, um, we need to deal with um, changes in all unique ways. And yeah, and I have decided there's going to be a small amount of people who are allowed to stay at my house, and for the exception of my roommate, I'm talking about stay at my house, and because I don't I have been working really hard since 2019 on this move per se, and I really don't want people that are against my wishes in this house. And so next week to um, I'm going to do it and say to my family, no, you're not going to stay here and have me be the halfway point of you going up to Sedona to help move your mom. And no, because that's not going to be, and if that's not clear enough, then I don't know how to make it clear in a nice, safe way. Because that change really affected, the change really affected both my stepmom and I, and that's one of the reasons why we do better 10 hours away, because um, 10 hours away from Aspen, because we butt heads, to be honest with you. We butt heads. And there's no way to put it nicely. We just butt heads. And I think that losing, I shouldn't say I think, I know that losing a fiance, her fiance, my dad, had really an effect on her, so much so that she wasn't helping me. And I'm the one that needed help. I was the one that was providing the aids. And and now you're thinking, well, what does this have to do with the subject of how we deal with change? Well, when I decided, and this was only made this decision was only made as of last night because it's um, it's time for me to set a boundary. And yes, I've been working really hard on my boundaries and really hard on what my life is going to look like with help, and what my my life is going to consist of. And due to it being COVID, um, and due to it being COVID, I just think the less people I have in this house, the better, because it gets too much. It's too much for the AIDS, and it's too much for even roommates staying with me, quite frankly. Um, that people are traipsing into my house, those who um, want to not help. I would appreciate those who want to in my life, and I have a couple of those. And so basically, what lands up happening is that how I'm dealing with this change is I'm actually not only going to therapy and um, physical therapy, but also counseling as well. And so they call that therapy. And so I told the people, I said I said to Mallory, I said to my stepmom at one point, would you quit calling it therapy? Because I'm getting confused whether it's physical therapy or counseling. And so I'm working really hard on my setting my own boundaries. And what lands up happening is I land up talking to people about it, and I land up um, talking it out to certain people who um, want to support me, and I'm finding out through a po- a program that I'm doing, and you guys can DM me about that program, and I can further further say that program. But through a program I'm doing, it's really helping me deal with change, because you got to remember I did a massive change in my life. I moved states in a pandemic. Thank you very much. Moved, just packed up my house with help and moved. And then I decided to sell my house. Um, I was the one that initiated it with help, the selling of the house. My stepmom did not want to sell my house, did not want anything to do with it. In fact, she got mad at me for 2 days when I said we're selling this house, and I'm I didn't tell her I was gonna move, but that was the original plan. And so basically what's end up happening now is that I land up dealing with change um, in the way of talking it out with people, and I land up doing it in the way that I feel most cathartic. I mean, I'm not an introvert by any means. I'm an as extrovert as I can. But just because I have cerebral palsy, I have to be an extrovert. I have to be asking for help So that's how I deal with change. I also admit because I am a Cancer, I cry. I cry a lot behind the scenes, and that's the first time I've admitted that ever publicly. So I take my feelings in. I take things in without saying anything, and then I process it, and 9 times out of 10 it comes out in tears because I don't know, and I don't know still, and I will eventually find this out and then let you guys know. I don't know after 33 years of dealing with cerebral palsy. Did I say 33? I meant to say 34, yes. 34 years of dealing with cerebral palsy. Danielle's laughing at me because I forgot to add actually, yeah, yeah. But 34 years of dealing with, see, I told you guys it's been a long week. Um, dealing with cerebral palsy for 34 years. I, I still don't know how cerebral palsy has impacted my body. I am going to find out eventually, and I will let you guys know what area of my brain it impacted, and that will be the end of that mystery, and that will I am 99% sure I do know because it's the emotions were affected, and and so I'm 99% sure that it's the frontal lobe because it my my hand-eye coordination is off completely. My spatial awareness is off completely, and so you may again you may be wondering how we deal with change in general, and Dan Danielle and I, well, Danielle did a move before I did, and then I did the move. And so I never thought in a million years I would be, well, I won't be alone for Thanksgiving. That's for sure. But I will, I never thought in a million years that I would be in my own house, let alone in a semi assisted living um, place. And when I say semi, it's not complete assisted living. I I don't like the terminology of group homes. I hate that terminology, but it's not complete assisted living, but it is assisted living, and it makes me really, really sad to think that most people with cerebral palsy land up in group homes. I am really, really, really lucky to be able to make decisions on my own and say and veto the ones that I don't want to veto and I don't want to do. And so that when this first came up, and we'll get into this story in January, story time in January. And we'll get into the story in January, probably on New Year's Day about why I had to move somewhere other than Aspen. Um, and so yeah, that's a really interesting story. And so I I am slowly, and I admitted this publicly before, and I'll admit again, but I am slowly getting used to change. I don't like big changes. No one with cerebral palsy likes big changes. Um, if you if a person in general, and my sorry, my nose is itchy, but if a person in general presents a change to a person with a neurological disability such as autism or cerebral palsy, they have to do it really, 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 really slowly. Really slowly. almost almost at the turtle's pace. And it's and so that's why am I'm much better than I was due to somewhat of what I call love and support, and due to my own healing of my own traumas here. But I'm still not the biggest fan of change. So 9 times out of 10, I cry behind the scenes if I and pardon me, she gets a lot of me venting half the time. So, and there's certain people I will not I will not try with. There's certain people I will be a stone walk with and just deal with. And so how I deal with change, I express my emotions in ways that I I express my emotions, and I don't say I feel angry, I feel sad. I just show my emotions. I either shut down or just cry. That's me. That's me in a nutshell. Either shut down or just cry. And nine times out of 10, I really feel that, um, and I will say this bluntly, uh, because this is how I feel about it. My family, since my dad died, they have abandoned me. They have abandoned me. I mean, I never know. I never knew someone that could walk in my house and say, in the middle of the day, and say, come on, when it's time to get dressed, and emotionally and physically abuse me, and almost, well, terrorize, almost like my stepsister's arm. Thank you very much. And terrorize my stepsister, and terrorize my aide at the time, and terrorize my stepmom. And so basically, and I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget that day. And and I will never. So I still have nightmares about it, and my family has not come to support me. They have come to get stuff out of me, which I'll explain in January what that was all about. And I will open up the can of worms more in January, of why I had to leave Aspen and why I had to do it so quickly, and then why I had to um, get down here so quickly, because I really didn't want to. I wanted to do a nice slow move. Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. We started this process of moving me down to Arizona in in the November. By the time it got to January, we were having sit downs about me moving to Arizona. By the time um, February hit, we had already um, my team had already come down and already looked at this house, this house that I'm sitting in now. And then by the time it got to April, I was packing up my stuff. So I wanted a nice slow move. Of course, that never happened. It happened so quickly that that it's a little bit scary, but dealing with a big, huge change is always interesting, and I will be the first to admit that I will be the first to admit that I'm not the biggest fan of change. If you tell me something, good or bad news, give me 24 hours to process it, and then you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You either get well, with goodness, you either get wind on top of the world or wind in your arms. And I say that because I'm a people person. I like hugs. Yes, I said I like hugs, and I haven't really gotten said hug because of COVID. I mean, I have to remember that I need to start asking for hugs, and that's a very simple concept. But with these changes in my life has settled down. It is slowly untangling itself, slowly. And with the huge changes, I give me give me 24 hours to process news, and then I either process it on my own or process it in tears or either process it um, with the small circle of trusted friends that I do have. None of, except for one, and none of my next door neighbors um, I could call good friends. I mean, we're cordial to each other, but um, none of my next door neighbors, except for one, and yes, you know who you are. Um, and it isn't even mom. It isn't even mom. The mom is just part of the equation. Yes, you know who you are, but it's the person with a disability herself because she reminds me a lot of a friend of ours who sadly passed away from a heart attack. And she reminds me a lot of him. And of course, when Danielle gets a cute butt down here, she'll know who I'm talking about. And of course, I'm excited to introduce Danielle to and introduce everyone to Lunarville and just let them know that I'm safe and happy. And um, when you have a higher power, whether you want to call it a higher power or God, you sometimes have to get out of your own way to see where the changes are going to be. Um, and with that, I'll pass it over to Danielle, and I'll let her take the lead on the same question.
Are there the same if you buy the hard of the time I to ride from the own that you bring?
Yeah. See, because our our brains our, our brains are screwed up. I'll just admit that. I'll just admit that right now. Part of our brains are screwed up, and that's cerebral palsy, and that we have both screwed up brains. So even when you give me happy news, like I even when you give me happy news, like yes, you're moving to Arizona, and yes, you're going to get a better life down there, and yes, you get to see more people in your life than than you ever saw in Aspen, and so, but yes, it's all because you want to take care of yourself, and yet your family doesn't want to take care of you. They just want to do what they want to do and walk out of your life. So basically, when I and Grant, my aunt, who I haven't seen, it's gonna be 3 years in 3 years in May, and my aunt actually gave me this housing complex. My team didn't even find this housing complex, let alone my stepmom didn't even find this housing complex. My aunt gave me a link to Google, and when I got off the phone with Sean Zimmerman, who is one of the real estate agents for Lunazil, fabulous person, good soul. And so when I got off the phone with him, I had to process what was going on in my own head because I was in a state of panic because my boiler had just exploded, and I think I called Lunazil on it started exploding on Monday, and then I think I called Lunazil on that Tuesday or um or that Wednesday. And so I had to take 24 hours before I even forwarded the email to my team to say, look, this is what I want to do, and this is how I think we should do it. But I just whether it's good news or bad news, whether it's good news change, bad news change, we both need 24 hours to process it, and we either on top of the world or we burst into tears because that's the way our brain works. It's either win and the go on top of the world, or we either burst into tears because it's the way our brain works. And as I said, I am 99% positive on what how cerebral palsy impacted my brain personally, and I'll be able to share that with you guys as soon as I can pull my records, and I'm going to have someone. I have one or two options, and I'm going to either pull it on, believe it or not, Christmas Eve, or depending on what's going on, or um, or either I'm going to pull it this next week, and depending on what's going on, either so the week of Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve, and I'm 99% positive it will be Christmas Eve that I will. And I am so not ready. I am so not ready, but I need to pull it, and I need to really understand how cerebral palsy impacted my life, because that will answer a million questions. That it's like the million question domino effect there. That will answer why I burst into tears if changes happen in my life, and why I just do what I do. And that will answer a lot of questions, not only for me, but for my aides as well. And not only for my aides, but for the medical team down here. And so it's going to be very, 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 very interesting as to say, okay, this is how cerebral palsy affects Win, and this is how Win is going to deal with it for the rest of her life. And I didn't know, as I said, I didn't know my condition until 2019, when I got majorly depressed after my emotional and physical abuse. The researcher that I am, and the freelance journalist that I am, and a lifelong learner that I am, did a little bit of investigational work and figured out, okay, I have cerebral palsy. This is what it is, and why I have cerebral palsy. This is what it is, and this is how it stands, and this is what it is, and this is how it stands. So basically, what will end up happening is I will pull the information on Christmas Eve, and maybe I'll jump on here with Danielle, maybe not. I will.
Yeah.